We're back. The best of food and wine with Anthony Gismondi and Kasey Wilson, live from the Wines of Canada stage at the 2017 Vancouver International Wine Festival. Now, here's Tony and Kasey.
Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along.
Welcome back to the best of food and wine. I'm Tony Gismondi.
I'm Kasey Wilson.
We're live on location from the floor of the 39th Vancouver International Wine Festival. The theme is Canada, and we have a Canadian in the house. Joining us now is JAK Meyer. He's the proprietor of Meyer Family Vineyards. JAK, how are you?
Excellent, thank you.
Theme country?
Canada.
Ready to go?
You betcha.
Looking good. It's busy out there.
It is.
Yeah. It's great, to be the country.
The host country? It's
Yeah.
kind of interesting. I was kind of worried nobody would show up because they've all had our wines here. But
No.
And it's sold out.
It's sold out. So
Yeah.
it's great to see. I think it just shows that support for local.
It does. And
Yeah.
Well, you get great support, I think, generally.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
I think, BC is as loyal as they come for.
It is.
They're viciously loyal.
Yeah.
But you're also in some other countries.
8 now.
8.
Eight
That's
other
amazing.
countries outside of Canada. I think from a small winery perspective, probably more than anybody else in Canada. But just got a purchase order for Norway last week, actually.
Yeah. Which is probably enough for you, or no? I mean, you have much more wine than that to sell.
Well, none of these are large except for the one Marks and Spencer in the UK.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, I'm looking for sort of high-end distributors, niche market.
Restaurants?
I want to be in the right restaurants and the right places. So, it's a trickle-down effect. If you can have those top sommeliers and top restaurants that say, oh, you should try these wines, it's good for certainly Meyer, but it's good for BC wines and Canadian wines.
Absolutely.
Overall, yeah.
We should back up a bit. We know a lot about you, but for our listeners, you're in Okanagan Falls. How did you get there? How long have you been there? And give us a bit of background there.
Yeah, started born and raised in Alberta, spent 34 years there, and then moved to Vancouver. 2004, moved to the Okanagan, and what do you do when you're in the Okanagan? You start out with a little small winery. So it was.
Did you move there to have a winery, or did you not? You moved there to.
Moved there because I grew up my whole life going to the Okanagan as a summer family destination, and it was sort of always a dream. So when we had a chance to kind of pack up out of Vancouver, go somewhere, we decided to go. We ended up actually in Vernon, and after being there about a year and a half, the idea came to maybe just do a small little winery. It's supposed to be a little hobby on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Came out of kind of semi-retirement. And
now it's 24/7.
24/7.
Exactly. Is there something that surprised you about the wine business? Coming from another business?
Almost every day something surprises me.
It's not really a business, but it is a business. Yeah.
I've had the question, if you started, if you sold today, would you start all over again? And I think I would, but you learn a lot of things that you do differently for sure.
Yeah.
Most of that is just to do like the unbelievable amount of capital that's required and cash flow that it takes. So, it's a long, long process to get to building a business that's generating a return, and it's not like we live off of the winery and the revenue, so it has to be a business that's successful for us.
You seem like a good businessman because your winery looks focused. Was that, from the beginning, one of the things that you would do? I mean, you're not making 100 different varieties, and you chose to produce Chardonnay and Pinot Noir and.
Yeah, well, that was a decision right from day one, and
it was a good decision, I think.
I think it's certainly been a big part of what's elevated us to specialize. You do something right, and you do it well. It's not going to be for everybody, but for those people that like Chardonnays and Pinots, they come to us.
Did you think it would be as hard as it is to create great wines, like to make really good wines, or?
I think the important thing to me was hiring. I see people that don't maybe necessarily spend as much money on a winemaker and a trained education. I think, having a full-time winemaker right from day one, somebody that's had international experience, to me, it's all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Chris Carson.
Chris Carson. Yeah. Chris was born in Edmonton, raised in Maple Ridge, but went backpacking in New Zealand and got the bug and went to Lincoln University, got his degrees there, and spent 10 or 11 years. But, being in New Zealand and Central Otago making Pinots, and then doing his off seasons in Montrachet.
Yeah.
Obviously,
he knew what the game was.
His focus was Pinot and Chard. When we got the resume and got together, we knew that was a perfect fit for us, and I think it has been.
And he has, for me, from the outside, he looks like he has zero ego, and he just so even in his demeanor. Yeah,
all the time. Yeah,
which is unusual for winemakers.
It is. It is for sure.
Yeah.
Chris is a soft-spoken guy, but he just goes about his business, and we don't have to manage Chris at all. We give him pretty much full reign, and it shows in the wines.
Why don't we talk? You just got a big award with Decanter magazine.
Well, we've had all kinds of numerous awards, but pretty excited about getting international awards and recognition. So just in the spring, Decanter came out, or just in the fall, I guess. Decanter came out with best Pinot Noirs in the world outside of Burgundy. And they hand-selected 80 wineries from around the world, including Oregon and California and South America, New Zealand, and sort of the top from everywhere. They even picked 5 Canadian Pinot Noirs. So we're just honored to be nominated amongst 80 what they consider to be the best from each region around the world. But then they did a blind tasting, and out of those 80, 30 received either a highly recommended or an outstanding award, and we were one of those 30. Yeah. But a lot of these wines are like Beaufrère and Calera and they're at $100 a bottle. So they then did
which means you're going to $100 a bottle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But they did a best value category of those 30, and there was only 10 that were under what they said 35 British pounds, and so we were one of those 10.
So you're in the value too.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting.
Our guest is JAK Meyer. He's the proprietor of Meyer Family Vineyards in Okanagan Falls. Jack, you brought 2 wines today, a Chardonnay and a Pinot Noir. Let's start with a Chardonnay. McLean Creek Road Vineyard. You have several vineyard designated wines. Are you? It's another
to choose just a couple of varietals and focus on those. Now you got to have some differences and variations on those. So we really like to focus on terroir-driven wines. So we do some single vineyard wines, but then we do different price points, different styles, either unoaked or oaked, those kinds of things. So we actually now have 5 different Chardonnays, 5 different Pinots.
Yep.
This would be sort of our mid-tier Chardonnay.
But what is it to you, McLean Creek Road? What does that Chardonnay mean to you? How does that taste, or what is the story of that wine?
Yeah, it's a hot site. 20-year-old vines that were planted in '94. It faces to the south, so the sun rises east to west, and it's on it all day long. So it's quite a warm site. The vineyard is got some sandy loam, gravel. We get a lot of that sort of lean, citrusy, minerality kind of Chardonnay out of there consistently.
It's really delicious when you drink it. Makes, I don't know, I often describe to people the difference between good wine and great wine is you want to finish the bottle when you start drinking it, as opposed to just have one and go away.
What does it say when you have 2 bottles?
Yeah, it says you might have the next day off. I don't know. We're going to jump to the Pinot, but you also have a tribute wine. You've got a sort of a cool thing going on with every year. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so 2006 when we started with our little small hobby, it was just a 3-acre vineyard in Naramata. We chose to do something to give to charity, so we named our tribute series Old Main Road Vineyard, and we paid tribute to a Western Canadian that's made an outstanding contribution, and we donate $5,000 to their charity or organization every year. So the first couple of years were artists like Emily Carr, Bill Reed, and then we went through like Steve Eiserman, Kenny McLean, Sonia Gadet was a wheelchair Olympian, and my parents one year, which I luckily got in there. Just my dad passed away in the fall, so it's been a real good thing. This 2015 vintage is the David Hawksworth Chefs Foundation.
Wow,
and,
cool.
So it's just fun. It's a good way for us to be able
to. And you went out to the public at one point, didn't you, for suggestions? Or
we did. Shockingly, it's become very hard to find somebody to give $5,000 to.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the names.
I'm going to spell my name out for you, but anyway.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
But, like a lot of the big
exactly
names, they're corporations now, and they just don't get what we're doing. But it doesn't really sell wine. It's just something like we're trying to pay tribute. So, yeah.
Okay, so Meyer Family Vineyards. We're going to taste now the Reimer Family Vineyard Pinot Noir.
Yep. Are
you a Pinot producer first, or a Chardonnay, or does it?
I think
something you don't want to talk about, or you do talk about, or?
Well, the funny thing is that I would bet that there's a large percentage of wineries that probably make wines because those are the wines they like, not necessarily making wines. Those are the wines that should be grown there or done there. I didn't really honestly like Chardonnay or Pinot Noir.
Really?
Our friend Andre St. Jacques said, you should make a Pinot. Yeah. And I said, I don't like Pinot. And he says, you haven't had a good one. And you know what? He was very right.
He was right about that.
He was very right.
Yeah.
So
now you like them both.
Now I can't drink anything but Pinots. But so I'm probably more of a Pinot drinker, but my heart's always going to be with Chardonnay because it was our first, I think.
Well, I'm so happy with the Chardonnay just because I want more of that style. So it's great to have that out there for people to look at and see.
Yeah, thanks.
Jack, I want to go to one of your private cabana tastings. Tell us how that works.
We just like to do something a little bit step up for the wine tourists that come down to the winery. So it's by appointment only. We have sommelier-led cabana tasting. We go through our sort of premium wines, library wines. It's paired with, cheese, little canapes, inexpensive, $35 a head for a full 1 hour in-depth learn about Meyer Family Vineyards, what we do, our philosophies, and about the wines. It's been very popular. We're actually just hiring a second sommelier to come down, and I think it's a great way for, the wine touring is getting so busy and people are just standing there with their hand out and don't get a chance to chat and talk and hear what's going on. So it's great for those people that really want to have kind of a little stepped up experience, I think.
And when do you open for visitors?
April 1 to end of November, 10 to 5 every day.
And library wines?
What's left of them. We don't have a huge selection. I had to learn the hard way. My first year, again, Andre says, Jack, how many did you keep for your library? And I said, my what?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
But I learned quickly after that. But it was a storage issue.
Yes.
I used to keep a few cases. Now I'm up to keeping kind of 10 cases. And so we do have a library going back to our first vintage, and some vintages more than others. But, these wines are all crafted and made to be cellared and improve over time. And, we did a dinner at Hawksworth last night. We were drinking some 2010, 11 Chardonnays. Some people were at the table that had our first vintage 06 just a couple of months ago. They said it was outstanding. So, to see an 06 Chardonnay 10 years later in Okanagan, I think that's pretty impressive.
It is impressive.
Jack, both of these wines today that we've had, the Meyer Family, the Pinot Noir from the Reimer Family Vineyards and the McLean Creek Road Chardonnay, both 2015 vintage. Just to wrap it up, your wine's quite popular now. How can people get their wine? Like, should they be on a list? Like, how do they get your wine at release? Because it doesn't last that long either, I think. So.
Yeah, we're coming to a fortunate problem for us, but not so good for the general consumer.
Yeah.
Where especially our sort of higher end, smaller production wines are basically instantly allocated out to restaurants and our wine club. Our wine club has grown to 600 members and growing very quickly. So some of those wines now are only available to wine club.
Yeah.
But otherwise wines are available at all the private wine stores around town
and the top restaurants
and all of the top restaurants for sure. Yeah.
Jack, thanks so much for catching up with us. Have a great week with the theme and all the crowds.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Yeah, and hold on to your voice.
I'm glad I'm talking today and not on Saturday.
Right.
Jack Meyer, he's the proprietor of Meyer Family Vineyards. Just an outstanding place to visit and taste wine in the mid-Okanagan. You have to check it out. You're listening to the Best of Food and Wine. I'm Tony Gismondi.
I'm Kasey Wilson.
And we're coming to you live from the floor of the Vancouver National Wine Festival. It's year 39. We'll take a break and we'll be right back.
This is the Best of Food and Wine Show, broadcasting live from the Vancouver International Wine Festival, where you can enter to win a deluxe 2-night stay at the Painted Boat Resort Spa and Marina on the Sunshine Coast. Visit paintedboat.com.